friends. Just a second. Taking a sip of water, making sure I can hear myself. I think we're good. Perfect. Let me get just a tad closer so we can see everything. Perfect. Awesome. Hi, Scrappy friends. Happy Monday or Tuesday, depending on what part of the world you are in. How was your weekend? Mine was, it went by in a blur. I literally spent my entire weekend hand stitching. Let's see if we can see this. This is going to be for my International Scrapbook Day Challenge. International Scrapbook Day is happening this Saturday in my Happy Scrappy place. I don't know if you can see, but I have hand stitched every single one of these flowers. Call me crazy. I call it passion. So this is what I've been doing up until just a few minutes ago. I finished the last stitch on the flower, and there is going to be a process video for this, which I will share on International Scrapbook Day. Again, it's happening this Saturday, May 4th, in my Happy Scrappy Place Facebook group. It's free to join. All you have to do is show up in my Facebook group and click refresh every 30 seconds for new content. And quick update about my birdies. They should be flying the nest any hour, any day now. Today they are 2 weeks old. If this is your first time joining me, we have a pair of house finches that laid or built a nest in one of our front porch lights. And this is year 3 that they've been laying eggs and hatching babies, and they laid 4 eggs. 3 of the 4 hatched 2 weeks ago, and so that makes today or tomorrow flyaway day, which I'm very excited about. So thank you so much for joining wherever you are in the world. I'm very excited to create another 12 by 12 layout with you based on a sketch, but the sketch is based on a layout. So I'm kind of scrap lifting myself, but I changed the collection and that gives completely different results. So this is a page that I made around 2011. So Fox is just over a year old in these photos, and this collection is by Amy Tangerine. So here is the sketch, and the only thing that I think I'm planning to change is not doing hand stitching down here on the corner with this star. This was actually one of the very first times that I tried hand stitching on a page, which is kind of funny because it's something clearly that I love to do now all the time. What else did I want to say about this? So we're going to do a little bit of mixed media. I'm going to do some machine stitching, and I'm going to use a lot of pattern papers, which is my absolute favorite scrapbook supply. And I'm going to use a lot of photos. They're smaller than, typical 4x6 photos, but I love incorporating photos into a design like this. Good morning, everybody. So we are going to use my Bungalow Lane collection with American Crafts, which is kind of fall themed. So I am using photos from the sunflower photo shoot that we did this past September, and a few Make With Me Mondays ago where we did the Pentagon circle. I used a couple of photos from the same photo shoot, also using Bungalow Lane. So it'll be nice to have these pages side by side, and maybe in the end I can bring in that layout and have them side by side to see if it would work as a double page spread. So I'm mostly going to focus on pattern papers from the 6x8 paper pad. And I meant to check and see if this is still available on scrapbook.com if you want to make it exactly the same as mine, but I forgot to do that. So this is a layout that is just perfect for paper scraps. This is kind of a stack that I've pulled from other 6x8 sorry, from the same Bungalow Lane 6x8 paper pad, but it's like what I've been using for backing cut files, for punches, so it's all just scraps. So again, perfect page. Can't wait to see which collection you decide to use. I have 17 collections with American Crafts now. My newest one called Adventurous just released, and I just got the package with all of the samples last Friday or Saturday. So friends, basically I'm just going to take a piece of paper and cut a little rectangle, and I'm just not even going to measure. I'm just putting it in, so maybe make this one 1 1/4 and cut it to 2 1/4. I can't see where I cut right there. So a little rectangle. So from this one, maybe we make it a little bit larger. So 1 1/2. We'll do 1 1/2 and then 2 1/4. So same length. So some will be the same length, some will be the same width. What I'm just going for is a whole bunch of different patterns, whole bunch of different colors, different sizes. And if this bothers you, like having all different sizes and shapes and stuff, you can always change and adapt it to make the rectangles all the same size. So this one I'm making 2 by 3. If it's helpful for you, I can list all of my dimensions in the description, which I usually do after the live ends because I'm just doing it on the fly right now. And then at the end, I can go back through and measure and make and figure out all of the dimensions. So there are a couple papers in my stack that are not from the 6x8 paper pad. All of these so far are, and you'll know that they are from the pad because they have a white B-side. This one is from the 12x12 pattern papers, so it's double-sided. And let's make this one, let's say 2 by 2 1/4. So 2 by 2 1/4. It really doesn't matter how big you make these or how small you make them. They are averaging about 2 by 3. So in fact, let's make this one 2 by 3. I love this pattern paper from the 6x8 paper pad. It's the only place where you'll find a true orange. We should have added a true orange in the collection, but c'est la vie, next time. So in my Facebook group yesterday, I said, like this post if you want to see a Paige Evans masculine collection. I'm really pushing hard, folks, to get a masculine collection, and it's so funny. I'm like, so what you're saying, there's like, everybody's liking it, which is great. I need all of the likes. All of the likes, friends, if you want to see a Paige Evans masculine collection. But the comments are kind of funny. So it's like, so basically what you're saying is you want pink and flowers. I'm being totally sarcastic. All of the comments are like, no pink, no flowers. I get it. I would love to do, like, this would be my 18th collection is already finished. We just wrapped it up, and it's very pink and florally. But this would be my 20th collection, and I keep saying, one collection out of 20 with no pink and flowers, we can do it, right? Come on, AC. So I'm just hoping by the power of numbers. So go into my Facebook group, give that post a like, and let's show American Crafts that we want a masculine collection with no pink and flowers. We have a lot of pink and flowers in my collection, so 1 out of 20 without would be great. This is the other pattern paper that is not from the 6x8 paper pad. It's a green because there isn't a paper that's a solid green in the 6x8 paper. Oh, there is actually. Look at that. I lied. So I'm just going to use this one from the paper pad for consistency And I like how in the paper pad, the patterns are shrunk down, right? So here is the full 12 by 12, just a piece of it. But you can see the little flowers are slightly larger. So I like having it scaled down so that you see more of the pattern. So let's do 2.5 by 3.5. Yes, and just one masculine. I understand. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. Where was I? This pattern paper. So let's do 1 3/4 by, I don't know, so 1 3/4 by 2.5. I love this light blue. This is also, you can't really find a solid light blue in the 12 by 12 papers. So you can see my pile is just all of these rectangles of different sizes. So it's coming along nicely. Let's do 2.5 by 3, all different sizes. And what was, am I missing something? 6 by 8, not 6 by 6. Oops. Am I reaching OCD? Yeah, I know, it's hard. If you want them all the exact same size, you absolutely can do that. In fact, let me bring in a page really quick, which we just learned how to make at the in-person Crafty Beach Bash in Texas, and I have the class PDF available in my shop for $10, but this is one of the pages kind of using the same concept where we are making pennants from pattern papers, but in this instance, all of the pennants are the exact same size. So it just depends on the vibe, on the look that you're going for, if you want repetition to be the same, but I'm changing it up, and I'm making my pennants all different sizes. So the instructions for this are in that PDF in my shop, but let's continue cutting the squares, well, rectangles. So 1 1/4 by 2.5. Yes, if you were there in person at the Crafty Beach Bash, thank you so much for joining. I love, I mean, obviously I love doing online as well, because then anybody in the entire world can join. But there is something about being surrounded in person by people who just get it, you know? They understand. Let's see, I want this one to be a little wider, actually. Let's do 1 1/4 by 1 3/4. So just little scraps, little pieces. We'll be able to use these for backing cut files, for punches. You can use these for making the pentagon page from a few weeks ago. So let's do 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, all different sizes. I'm so glad to have, I've got online friends and in-person friends who love scrapbooking. From this one, I love the darker florals. I'm trying not to think too hard about which patterns. I'm just going through the paper pad, getting them all, because like I said, pattern paper is my absolute favorite scrapbook supply, and the more I can include on a page, the better. So this one will be 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. I've got 2 of this paper. I don't need 2, I just need 1, so I'll set this one aside and cut this one to, let's do a chunky one at 3 inches. Actually, let's do 2 1/4. 2 1/4 by 3. With the, oh, it's already at 3. With the lines going horizontally. That way you can see, oh, well, I guess you could see them either way. I just did them horizontally, why not? From this quilt design, I don't think well, let's just cut one. Might as well. Let's do 2 by 3. That's a pretty standard size, and that's the same size that I've printed my photos as well. So I love this leaf paper because it's going to go along with my sunflower sunflower photos. Let's do 2 3/4 by 2. Again, I can list these measurements in the class description after the video. And one more leafy paper. So let's do 2.5 by 3 1/4. So we want to end up with, I think there are 18 pennants. Let me grab the sketch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 18. So I'd say about 18 to 20 pennants. So 18 to 20 rectangles of pattern paper. I did not really follow the sketch. I just want to show you, what am I trying to say? That you want to make a bunch of different pennants in a bunch of different sizes, in a bunch of different pattern papers. That's what I'm going for here. Let me move my stack of pattern papers and put this on the floor so that I have the most amount of room. Before I trim all of these into pennants as well as my photos, so here are my photos that are sized to 2 by 3. I use Picasa and have these printed at Walgreens, but there is the Pick Tap Go app. There is print to size. So a bunch of different ways that you can get 2 by 3 inch photos, but together they are 4 by 6. So in Picasa, I create collages and make them 4 by 6 and get those 4 by 6 photos printed at Walgreens. I want to choose a background and do a tad mixed media before I start trimming these so that my mixed media has time to dry. So I've pulled some pattern papers from Bungalow Lane as well as a piece of cardstock, and these are all really great contenders for backgrounds. My original layout, the background was a light blue grid design, and so I kind of wanted to make it different. So this blue is very similar in color, so I want to nix this one because I'm trying to have some variation. And while I do love pink, goodness knows I love pink, I just used pink. I've used pink on my backgrounds a couple different times for Make With Me Mondays. So in an effort to make backgrounds different colors, I'm going to nix these two backgrounds, but I really do love them. And I've used them previously for backgrounds using Bungalow Lane. I love this background, this craft leafy background. So generally when I'm picking backgrounds, I put my pattern papers on top and see what it looks like. And I really do love the way this looks, but I kind of want some more contrast. This background is more of a medium color, I would say. So it's not bright white, but it's not super dark. It's more medium. But in my mind's eye, I'm envisioning a lighter background. So I've brought in this pale yellow cardstock. This is from American Crafts. You could also just use a white cardstock background or craft, or this is the fun part. This is where you get to make it your own. So choose a background that speaks to you. I'm choosing a pale yellow. And I want to do just a tad mixed media. According to the sketch, I've just got some splotches of paint on the background. So I'm going to bring in my scratch paper that I've been using for my Make With Me Mondays, just in an effort to not get it all over my desk. So here's my mixed media. Put my cardstock on top and bring in my trusty white acrylic paint. This is Apple Barrel. And I want to bring in 3 colors of watercolors because I can get any color virtually that I love and want to use from the Pastel Dreams. These are all by Prima, and I love how how thick they are. They're almost, well, they're like gouache. Gouache is a mix between acrylics and watercolors. This one is called Tropicals, so it's got some richer jewel tones. So these are the pastels, Pastel Dreams. These are the Tropicals, and then the vintage pastels to get the black and some more, what would you call these? Like not earth tones, but more grayed versions. So I want to start with, where's my cup of water? I have to hide my cup of water or else my cats will come dip their paws in it. Oh, I love my cats so much, but they can be quite naughty. I wish I could show you. Let me see if I can. I'm going to take a picture with my camera right now of my cats. I'm just looking over to the left. And let me see if I can show you what I see. They are currently snoozing together on a blanket just over there. Tee. I love my cats. If you follow me on social media, you will know that. I post a lot of pictures of my cats. Okay. So I'm taking off the lid of the white acrylic paint, picking up some water, putting it in the lid, picking up some white acrylic paint, and putting it in the lid. So I just added a tad of water so that this becomes more splashable, and going to splash it in 3 places, just like the sketch. But I think I'm going to do a little bit more too. So I have it 1, 2, 3, but I'm also going to splash it down here. Basically 4 clusters, I guess. Most of it's going to get hidden by the pennants and photos anyway. So splash it on the top left, splash it across the middle right, and even down at the bottom. So just some splashes. You can pick up more paint to make the drops bigger, and I'm just tapping my brush with my pointer finger to make the paint fall off the brush. Okay, going to put the lid back on and bring in just a few colors of watercolors. I don't want to make this background too colorful. The pattern papers are going to do that for me. And on the sketch, in my original page, I only used 1 color, which was a very dark blue. I think I'm going to use brown, actually. So here's some brown paint. When I'm putting my water on it, it's kind of a more reddish brown. And I just want to make it a little darker, so I am going to pick up some of this black from the vintage pastels and make it a tad darker for contrast. My background is very light, so I'm just adding some splashes of brown for contrast and a fun layering element. Mixed media is always optional, but I feel like if you've never done it before, this is a good way to start, where you're not messing anything up. This is our background. So if you decide you do not like your mixed media, you can start over. But again, a lot of this is going to be covered up with pattern papers and photos. So it's a great way to start and dip your toes into mixed media. One more color, a little bit of this pink from Pastel Dreams. It's a warmer pink, which you can find in Bungalow Lane. So just picking up some of this pink. I've linked to these watercolors in the description of this video. So if you want to use these are the ones that I will be using for the rest of time. As long as I'm scrapbooking, these are the watercolors I'm going to use. So I invite you to pick up a set because I use them all the time. Alrighty then. So I am going to set this aside. I'm so nervous. Friends, I'm going to go dump out this water. I'm so scared that it'll tip over somehow. Better bathroom right here. Okay. Coming back. I've had one too many accidents with water spilling, especially with my kitties. I know they're sleeping right now, but you know, they could wake up at the drop of a hat. So I'm done with my mixed media for now. So this is a great time to set it aside and let it dry while we are trimming our pattern paper pennants. So let me clean up. And bring the pattern papers and photos back in. So for this next step, we will need a pair of scissors. And I just gently, very gently fold the bottom corners together. So from corner to corner, I'm not creasing, and then simply start at the corners, so not at the crease, but at the corners, and cut an angle. And this way, your pennant is going to be the same shape at the bottom. I'm going to do this for every single pattern paper and my photos as well. So bring the corners together, use a pair of scissors, and do a little snip. So the bottom corners, I'm making my pennants long. So if the rectangle is wider this way, I'm rotating it so it's long. Bring the papers corner to corner and snip. So this is the repetition part. My favorite scrapbooking technique is repetition, so the pennants are going to be my element of repetition. If you have any questions, now is a great time to ask them while I'm just trimming all of these one by one. Did you do anything fun this weekend? Yeah, I was supposed to go to my friend's baby shower. Isa, if you're here, or Isa, if you're watching on the replay, I'm so sorry. The weather has been so beautiful in Colorado the past week. We've had air conditioning on, we've gone on walks, but then of course on Saturday it snowed. Yes, it's almost May and it still snowed here. Welcome to Colorado. This is why I don't buy flowers until after Mother's Day. So yeah, I missed going to the baby shower because of the snow. I'm just so scared of driving in snow, especially since back in January we got in a car accident. Not our fault. It was the other girl. It was the other person's fault, but it was snowing and she took a corner too fast and slid right into us. So I don't like driving in snow. It's scary. You know, as good of a driver as you can be, you just never know. The roads, and we live on a lot of hills, and so, yeah. Anyway. Oh yes, the Crop and Create was this weekend, and my friend Andrea taught. Love following along in her adventures. Tell us more about your next project, the one online with or without the kit. Yeah, so that is again, my friend Andrea, she and Gloria and Celeste, they are all Spanish speakers, which is really fun. They've come together and they're going to start doing virtual classes with or without kits. And so they invited me to be the first guest. So of course, scrapbooking, sign me up. And so I will be using my Adventurous collection to create 2 12 by 12 layouts, possibly more, it just depends. I can't remember which products I decided to put into the kit, but we're going to make 12 by 12 layouts when I go live, and then Andrea will be using the Adventurous 6 by 8 album, and then she told me what the other teachers were doing, but I can't remember. Too much going on in my brain at the moment, but it should be really fun. It's happening the last day in August, the first day in September, August 31st and September 1st. And yeah, just if you love scrapbooking, this should be another great way to learn more techniques from me and other teachers. Last one, and then we'll move on to the photos. So corner to corner. I am going to do the photos a tad differently, I think, because I want all of the angles to be the same. So I'm very carefully, I don't want to bend my photo, so just ever so slightly cutting it like that. And then I think I'll use this one as a template to cut the rest. So I'm going to stack 4 photos together at a time. Well, I guess it's 3. I've got the one that I've already cut, and then I have 3 uncut photos. So stack those together and then use the angle that I've already cut to make the same exact angle on those 3 photos. Great. Not cutting off anything important. Our faces are still showing up, which is great. So 1, 2, let's see if I can do 4 at a time. The last 4 photos, stack my template on top. Let's jog the end like that. And from corner, oh, hold on, they're moving, so I'm gonna hold them together. From corner to, it's always a risk doing this live, huh? You never know what's gonna happen. Just pray for the best. There we go. So I've got my photos, I've got my pattern papers. Time to build the background. This is awesome. Let me see if my background is dry yet. Oh, it is. Wonderful. So at this point, I am going to add my papers, kind of following the sketch. So I've got one banner of pennants across the top left corner, another banner of pennants going from the middle left to the top right, and then my final and third row going across the bottom right corner. Just like with basically all of my layouts, I'm not going to glue anything down yet. I'm just going to get a overall look, and I'm trying to mix my patterns, so not having 2 of the same color next to each other. So like my pinks, I'm not going to put all in a row. My darker ones, I'm not going to put next to each other. I want a variety of colors and patterns and sizes. So kind of start with the bigger ones and then mix in the smaller ones. And we'll add our photos on top so that they don't get covered or hidden by the pattern papers. The struggle is real this morning, friends. It is still Monday. Oh, let's tuck this one underneath too. So from corner to corner, starting with the bigger ones, little ones on top, nudge them over even. Great. And then my final one. I might nudge this up, but then what about the title? This is why I don't glue anything down yet, because I want to figure out the placement first. So let's just do this third and final row and see how it's looking. Still have my hearts. What about this one? Add that one up there. Okay, so this is how we're looking so far. Again, nothing is glued down. Let me place my photos on top, and then we'll see if anything needs to be moved or adjusted. So simply place a photo. So there's the whole family, and then we got me and my hubby, and then we got my hubby and my son, another lovey-dovey, me and my hubby, and then just Jane, just Fox. Let's put this one down here. Me and Jane, and Fox and Jane. So a fun variety of all of our family photos. Okay, so let's adjust these so we can see more of the pattern papers peeking through, and then glue them in place. So let's move this over. My title, or excuse me, my stamped date is right here beneath the title. And so I want to be conscious that I have a lighter colored pattern paper right here so that when I stamp the date, it'll be visible. So I like this light pink pattern paper for that purpose. And I've surrounded it with pictures of me and Jane. I'll move this over like so. And then these ones are looking pretty good down here. Yeah, and then we'll be able to add additional bits and pieces onto the banners to make them really full and fun. But before I do that, I do want to get these glued and stitched. Yes, I'm going to do some machine stitching in place. So what I typically do at this point is I bring in my phone, I take a picture to refer back to in case anything gets moved or nudged, so that's helpful. And then bring in some temporary adhesive because I know I'm going to machine stitch across these to make them stay in place permanently. If you are not going to do machine stitching, then I suggest using liquid glue or your favorite tried and true adhesive and adding it just across the top of the back so that the pennants can lift and bend. So I'm just one by one going to start attaching these in place. Because there's layers, it gets a little tricky, but luckily it's just temporary adhesive. And what's going to make them stay in place will, excuse me, will be the machine stitching. So just lifting these up, adding some adhesive across the back, just the top, and then the machine stitching will do the rest of the work. Okay, so I've got this big old chunk. Let me add some adhesive and then we'll attach it in place. Great. So move on to the next row. Okay. Breathe in. So I've added adhesive across the top, one at a time, and then eventually they'll start sticking together. So like that previous row, I was able to lift up the whole thing and add adhesive across the top of the back. Yeah, so International Scrapbook Day is coming up on Saturday. I've got 15 free cut files that I will be giving away every hour. And I will have a process video going up to show how I stitched that paper that I showed you at the very beginning if you were here. If you missed that, you can always watch the replay as soon as I'm done. And I am also planning to do the YouTube walkthrough of my adventurous collection. So got a lot happening this week. We've also got a painter coming to prep our closet for installation finally. If you've been following along with Make With Me Mondays, I adjusted the installation of our closet for the birds. Listen, I don't want the mommy and daddy to abandon their babies because of our closet installation, you know? I love animals so much. I will do anything to make sure that the babies survive. So we moved the date. Okay, so let's see how this is looking. Did I get everything? Might add a little bit more right here. Is hand stitching an option or would all of the papers be too thick? Hand stitching is an option if you want to use a paper piercer and put a foam mat behind and then just pierce a hole about every 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch. I love hand stitching, so that's definitely an option if you do not have a sewing machine. Or you could just leave it as is. Looks great this way too. Okay, so that row is basically adhered. I don't need too much because the machine will make it stay in place forever. So now I just have to get this last row down and take a sip of water. Just a second. Oh, Christy just says, I think your closet talked to my closet because my entire 2 shelves collapsed and now we're figuring out a closet install. We're using Closet Factory through Costco. Man, Costco has the best deals, so that's what we're doing. And I chose a custom paint color, of course, because I can't, I need color in my life. And so it's a very, very dark, moody green. I'm excited about it. Okay, I think these are stuck. Nope, let me do a little more across the top here. Okay, what are we thinking? How are we feeling? I think it's okay. I'm trying to decide if I like those touching. I don't think I do. I'm going to have a little bit of a breather room, some breathing room between, which is actually not like on the sketch, the banners and the photos are touching, but I want some breathing room. So going against the sketch, and that's okay. Sometimes rules are good to follow and sometimes it's good to break. All right, let me talk about my sewing machine. Gotta bring it in, adjust some things. This is a pair of scissors that I got from Two Birds of a Feather. I taught in Birmingham, England, and this was one of the gifts. So I use those for trimming threads. Bring in my sewing machine. Okay, hold on, there's like wires and cords and everything to make all this possible. So bear with me as I bring in my sewing machine and tilt it on its side so I can talk about it. Okay, friends, this is my Brother LX2500. It's about 14 years old now. I got it before Fox was even born. It's a little dusty. Maybe it's a little rusty, but even after all this time, it works like a charm. I love it so much. Let's see, hold on, reading the comments really quick. We're with Closet Factory, so I'm hoping they treat us kindly. Yes. Carrie says, does the adhesive get on your sewing needle? And yes, it does. Where is it? I have a little bottle of Goo Gone that I keep close by in case my needle gets gummed up a lot. But one trick that I tried to do, and I should have talked about it as I was doing this, is I didn't put adhesive across the very top of the back. It was kind of below, and this way my needle isn't going to go through any adhesive, but sometimes it's unavoidable. So that's why, yes, I do have Goo Gone close by so that I can clean off my needle if it does get adhesive. What did I want to talk about? I took it out of the box and watched a YouTube tutorial for how to do the bobbin, and I always use white bobbin. I do have a baggie with a bunch of different thread colors for bobbin, but typically you never see the back side, so I just always use white. I do have a wide variety of Coats & Clark thread for switching out. I think I'm just going to use white for this one. And I love all of the different stitches. I typically stick with number 6, which is the longest running stitch, but I also utilize the zigzag stitches, and then some of these decorative ones are really fun to switch the thread color, do some fun stitches, and yeah. So this machine isn't available anymore, but I have linked to one that is very similar on Amazon. So. Here is the knob on the right-hand side for making the needle go up and down. And then what is this called? Sometimes I don't know why I even do this because I don't know much about stitching or what the official words are. Is this like the pedal? The pedal is what I use with my foot to make it go. I put that back on the ground. I'm gonna lift it up so I can actually sew. I have to turn the machine on, and then let me rotate my camera so you can see what I'm doing. Can we see what's happening? It's always such an awkward angle, friends, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm bringing in my layout. I'm going to start on the top left corner, and there is a lever right up here that you press down to make this footer go down. Okay, and I am on my number 6, which is the longest running stitch. So going to use my foot to press the pedal and stitch across the tops. My photo, I want it angled more in the banner shape, so like this. I've got my things in the way back here, so I will be carefully rolling the cardstock so that it fits. So lift up the lever to make the footer go up, and you can see that I have now stitched across the top, and trim off that thread. So I'm going to start again on the left side. Just make sure your thread right here is long enough. If you start stitching, the thread is probably going to come undone. So just pull it, make sure you've got probably 6 inches of thread. Put the footer down and continue just stitching across the tops of the pattern papers and the photos. I'm gently rolling my background because my filming studio, my filming setup is in the way. Okay, so now I have an issue because if I keep stitching, my paper is going to get bent. So I do very carefully have to roll my background in order to finish stitching. Oh, I ran out of I ran out of bobbin. Oh, that's so funny. Well, what should I do? Should I wind the bobbin right now? Should have double checked this. Or I have more bobbin. I'm gonna go get that bag of colors that I was literally just talking about. Oh, friends, bear with me. This is what happens when we're live. Okay, so here I have some more bobbin. It's very light colored. So going to put it in my machine. Every machine is slightly different. So you watch YouTube tutorials to make sure that you do your bobbin and you thread the needle according to your machine. So now I was stitching and there was no thread. Let me see if I can show you. So this last half, it ran out of bobbin, and so I'm just going to start where it stopped and then put the pedal down and stitch over. I'm trying to stitch exactly, but a simple way to fix mistakes like this, I wouldn't call it a mistake, it's a learning opportunity, is to stitch multiple lines of thread. So I was only planning to do, oh my goodness, it's getting caught, just a sec. I was only planning to do 1 row of stitching. However, since I have those random extra holes now, I might go back and do 2 rows of stitching, and that usually like cleans things up. Okay, I have 1 more to stitch and then I'll put everything back. I'm getting a little flustered if you can't tell. No, everything's good. It's just like, oh, oi, can't even talk. All right. Going to stitch across the last banner, and this time I'm starting on the right edge. So I put the lever down, going to start stitching. I want a little bit more gap in between these photos. Okay, so trim off the excess thread. Let me put my space back together and then we will continue. All right, let's put everything back. Everything's good. As long as I don't accidentally end the live, right? I've done that before. Let me push this back actually so I've got more space on my desk. And rotate. Are we good? All right. Let me sit back down. Okay, so in my original layout, I used a contrasting color of thread. I used kind of a dark gray. And I even did some zigzag stitching. And now that I'm looking at this, I really like that look. So maybe after the live, I'll stitch a couple of zigzag stitches to be determined. But I do have some excess pennants hanging over the edge. You do need to trim those off or else the page won't fit in a 12 by 12 page protector. So flip the page over, trim off the excess that's hanging off the edges. And after this, it'll just be a matter of embellishing. So adding our title and the extra bits, but we've spent the majority of our time creating this fun and dynamic and interactive background. So let's flip it over, check it out. If these long strings bother you, you can just cut them right off. Get my garbage can. Okay. So at some point, you want to lift up the bottoms of these pennants to give them some fun texture, some fun dimension. And even though eventually this will go into a 12 by 12 scrapbook and get a little smushed, it will retain its dimension, especially if you put pop dots or foam squares underneath, then you're definitely going to have that dimension and shadows, which is a really fun and cool look and just really enhances enhances the banners. And so you can see the mixed media peeking out from behind. Optional step, but I just like that little bit of mixed media. It's not a ton, but it adds a little something something to the background instead of just a plain cardstock. Or of course, if you use a different pattern paper, which has a pattern on the background, that can also create another interesting layer. I'm gonna take another sip of water. And let's finish up this page. So again, using my Bungalow Lane collection, I've pulled some floral die cuts, which go along with the colors that I've chosen, which are fall themed, right? Lots of sunflowers. I'm going to use bits and pieces from the sticker book. So it's an 8-page sticker book. There are some foam stickers with lots of titles, perfect titles. Cardstock stickers. This was designed after my dog Joey, and this was designed after my cat Rachel, and both have crossed the rainbow bridge. So it's always really touching and tender to my heart to bring out this collection to see my old pets. This is our bunny Phoebe, and she's still alive. She's going to be 7 this year. And once upon a time I had zebra finches, but maybe these are like my house finches now. That's funny. Okay, cardstock stickers, the alpha thickers, which have a really nice sweater knit design, and chipboard stickers. So I want to start with my title, which is going across this middle banner. And I looked through this entire collection and I couldn't find an ampersand, which is so funny. So the title is like a word, an ampersand, and a word. So on my original layout, it was smile and grin. But since I couldn't find an ampersand, I'm going to improvise and call this beautiful. and divide the word with, instead of an ampersand, a little yellow flower. So let me make my title, which is beautiful. So I'm going to use the warmer colors and also the green, but not use the blue, because I feel like blue is an untraditional fall color, and I have used it on the background, but this blue is very dark, so that's not how you spell beautiful. We need the A. So yeah, just going to leave off the darker blue so that it's more traditional fall colors. We had 2 finches named Pat and Vanna. That's from Wheel of Fortune. Mine were named, oh goodness, I can't, it must have been Friends names because we named all of our pets after Friends characters. Oh, I remember, it was Frank Jr. and Alice. So here's my title. Not sticking them down yet because I just want to make sure it fits, and I want to be able to nudge things over. So play on words for beautiful. Going to change the F-U-L to F-A-L-L, so it's beautiful, which goes along with these photos, which were taken during the fall. Using a mix of colors. And here's the last one. Beautiful. So right across the tops of these, actually let me switch out this A for a darker one. See, now I'm auditioning the letters, switching them out, so then I don't have 2 of the same color pretty close to each other. And the division with this flower kind of acts like that ampersand on the sketch. Great. So I'm done with my title. I'm going to bring in the next biggest embellishments, I think, which would be the chipboard stickers. On the sketch, I've got some additional like tags and pennants across. I've even got like star and heart. So it's just time to start adding additional things into the pennant. So here's a little tag that says wonderful. So add that into the mix. There's another little tag that says one fine day. So it's always fun to go through the embellishments and find sentiments, find little bits and pieces that go along with the theme. Here is a pennant that says give love. And so I've used 3 chipboard stickers across the background, 1, 2, 3, as like a visual triangle. From the foam stickers, just like the little heart on the sketch, there is a little heart right here that says XO. So I'll add that down there. So this kind of takes place of the star and the heart. I've got a little banner and a little heart. And that's my cat knocking off some of the bobbin. Oh, they crack me up. From the cardstock stickers, let's see here. Do I want to add any of these? Maybe down here. So down here, this is going to be my final cluster. And in a previous project, I trimmed this flower die cut in half. So what I love about doing this is it creates a space for your journaling. From the sticker book, there is a page with labels and tabs. So this label right here is the perfect spot for journaling. So I've cut the flower die cut in half. I'm going to place this journaling spot right in between, like that. And then just tuck a few more of these flowers to fill up this space. And then it just brings in some of these fall colors, the flowers, and you can then still see some of that mixed media peeking through from behind. All right, so from the cardstock stickers, a little subtitle, this banner that says "Capture the Moment." I like the way that looks right above the label for a little subtitle. And how about family time? So this little word that says family time, put it right next to the title. All of these are just going to be little bits of color, little bits of interest. So a little tab above. Hey, okay, I gotta put my threads away before they get knocked over all the way. You kitties, silly kitties. All right. So I can either stamp the date up here or right here underneath, and then my journaling will go on this journaling spot. Some of these remind me of pennants and like will fit into the banner nicely. So this one that says love, see how the point is going down? I want it to be pennant shaped. So look at your stickers and see if you can alter them and make them fit the design. So instead of having the point going down, I want to trim the point to go up and make it a little banner and place it up here tone on tone. Super fun. Same thing with this one that says sweet. A little trickier because it's very close. So maybe I just trim off the point like that. And which direction? Let's have it, if it's going this direction, it's almost upside down, but if you have it going this direction, it reads a little better. And of course, some flowers, some butterflies. Oh, look at these ones. These ones are already pennant shaped. We weren't at home though. I mean, the layout is handmade, but it doesn't really, these don't really work. So as cute as they are, maybe these sentiment pennants will work on your page, but I just made my own. Oh, there's butterflies. Oh, some butterflies. You can always find a little spot for these teeny tiny elements, right? They're kind of like enamel dots. These teeny things you can always find a spot for. They're just little bits of eye candy in color. And one thing I love are these transparency flowers. You can, again, always find a little spot to add a teeny tiny flower, and they kind of fit into the mixed media background that we did. They almost look like paint splatters, but they are flower shaped. So there's there's about 8, bless you, about 8 or 9 of these tiny little flowers. So just adding them across the background into the mixed media for little tiny pops of color. You almost don't even notice them. But I just love that final little teeny tiny, I lost it, teeny tiny bit of fun. So let's spread them across the background. Are there any more? I've got one more. Let's see, so 1, 2, maybe this one should go down here. I'm just trying to create a nice balance of flowers across the background. Maybe up there. I reserve the right to change my mind about the placement of these teeny tiny flowers. Somebody asked, Beth asked, do you ever have a layout you complete but isn't quite right? What's your fix for that? I typically will step away for the rest of the night and then come back to it in the morning with a fresh perspective. And so yeah, that would be my tip, is just walking away, letting it noodle. You know, maybe you think of something overnight that you want to do to change it. And yeah, I had a flower right here that I wanted to use, but I can't find it. Let me look in my other stickers. I don't have more stickers. Where did it go? But maybe I can use a different sticker. Okay, so this sticker, if I wanted to add it up under here, it's too big. And so again, make the sticker work for you. So trim off that base and tuck it where you want it to go. So then you've got flowers, you know, flowers going across the whole page or whatever elements you're using. This is a fall themed page, so you could use a lot of leaves or trees or buttons, apples. But again, just depends on what you're scrapbooking. So my page is fall themed photos, fall themed family photos. So that's kind of the vibe that I went with the leaves, the flowers, the butterflies, and family sentiments. So the only thing left that I have to do is glue everything down, but I'm not going to do that on camera. So I'm going to glue everything down, make sure it stays in place permanently, using my favorite adhesive, which is Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. Love this glue so much. I'm going to stamp the date either here or here, haven't quite decided, and then write my journaling. But other than that, this page is finished. Let me bring in the other Bungalow Lane one to see what it looks like. Oh, I found the flower that I wanted to use. Oh, Mayday. Maybe instead of replacing that, I balance it with this flower behind here. Look at that. Serendipitous. So here is the other page that we've made with Bungalow Lane for Make With Me Monday. The yellow is kind of, I mean, I would put these next to each other in a scrapbook, but the yellows kind of compete. I don't know. But here's our two Make With Me Monday layouts using Bungalow Lane. And then let's bring in the original page so we can see side by side how it's the same technique, same concept, but by using a different collection, totally different results. If you like this hand stitching, guess what? One of the cut files that I'm giving away for free for International Scrapbook Day is a whole bunch of simple shapes for stitching. So there's a heart, there's a star, there's a square, there's a circle. So it's like 9 or 10 shapes at about 2 inches for hand stitching. So we've done some hand stitching on our previous Make With Me Monday pages. Something I love to do, and I hope you give it a whirl. Do you have a favorite 12 by 12 album that you like to use? I use ones by We Are Makers. And I'm going to turn the camera towards myself and finish chit-chatting with you all. Oh, do it quickly. Might be a little crooked. Doing it with my left hand. Hi friends, how are you? Thank you so much for joining today. Loving doing this Make With Me Monday series. Absolutely loving seeing your results created with these pages or with these sketches. So just real quick, wrapping up with the usual things. I don't have a deal of the week starting tomorrow because of International Scrapbook Day. So starting on Friday, the deal is going to be 25% off all physical items in my shop and 50% off all cut files, all classes. There are some exceptions, like not off of my Adventurous pre-order collection or future classes, like classes that haven't happened yet. But everything else, so it's like hundreds of items in my shop that the discount will work for. Yeah, other than that, I have all of the things listed in the description, but I have to get back to filming my process video that I'm going to share on International Scrapbook Day, and then I'm going to do a film through of Adventurous that I'm also going to share on International Scrapbook Day. So this Saturday is a big fun event in my Happy Scrappy Place Facebook group. So be sure to join in the fun there. I have lots of prep work to do for it. I can't wait. I'm so excited. And I hope to see you there. So even if you're not on Facebook, I encourage you to join just for this day, maybe. Okay, friends, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed today's Make With Me Monday layout, and I will see you again next Monday. and can't wait to see what you create based on this sketch. So I'll share my finished page in just a minute across social media. All right, that was fun. Have a happy scrappy day, friends. See you on International Scrapbook Day in my Facebook group.